Hey, Dan Meyer here, and today we're going to revisit a topic I talked about last year, optimizing your digital workspace. So you've been working from home for a while, or you've been doing a lot of your business from home, and you really want to think about how to optimize it. So I'm going to talk about three different areas where I think that you really can put some thought into how you are doing what you do, and are there ways to make it more efficient, make yourself more productive, give yourself more time, so that your workspace in the digital world is optimal, so that you don't have any inefficiencies, you don't have wasted time, you don't do things that are repetitive or mundane or routine. That's really the goal. And so there's two parts to this. The first is that I'll talk about these three strategies that we can all do ourselves. I'll talk about how I do them. Then I'll also mention how you can have a VA help you with them. So these three things aren't just important for you to do yourself, but also for you to do with your team, for you to be able to do with a virtual assistant or a virtual team that you're working with. So number one is communication. We all communicate with our clients, with customers, with people in our audience, our tribe, as well as our employees, our virtual assistants, our team members. So communication is number one. Number two is file accessibility. How do you share things, right? How do you share things across the digital workspace? And number three is how do you organize yourself? What kind of project management you're doing? There are great tools out there I've talked about in the past for communication, for file storage, and for project management. And each of these things you want to look at to what you're doing the best you can be doing to make sure everything's optimal. Then also how you share and do things interactively across the internet with your team. So three areas for the digital workspace to really focus on. Now, I've been doing this for a long time. I've mentioned this before, but just to kind of refresh yourselves with this bit of knowledge. I'm very nerdy. I'm very techie, right? And I've always been techie. And I was an early adopter of working remotely. Back in my time at Wells Fargo, very early in my career, I started doing a lot of remote work, working from around the world when I'm on business trips or working from home occasionally. So I've been working remotely for almost 25 years. And on top of that, after 15 years at Wells Fargo, I set up my first business. And my first business back in 2012 was pretty much a virtual business. And every business I've done since, I've had offices, I've had some office-based teams, but the majority of my businesses, the majority of my clients, the majority of my customers, the majority of my team, my virtual team, have all been doing things on the digital workspace. So this is where my background comes in, and I really want to make sure that I can give you some pearls of wisdom from what I've learned. Number one most important thing about doing anything online is communication, right? Communication is always more challenging. We know that sometimes we lose the emotion of things. We lose the context. We lose the ability to be tactful when we are forced to do things via text or via email. Video communication is much better because then you can get the nonverbals, you can emphasize things basically that you can't do via text or email. Communication in the digital workspace is all about optimizing your communications. You got to have good internet. You got to be able to have conversations with people. There are some great tools out there. For example, most of us use Zoom every day in some way or another. We're all using Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp or WeChat or any number of communication tools. We do all these things to help us stay in communication. And the key to my businesses and my success over my 10 plus years as an entrepreneur is having that day-to-day conversation, right? So every business I've ever had, basically we use Facebook as our primary tool of communication. Even before there was Messenger, and we were just doing basic conversations, using Facebook groups, doing things like that. Occasionally I do things via email with documents that are more important or follow-up items or things we have to kind of do a little bit more old-fashioned, but 90% of my communication with my team is through Facebook Messenger. And then for my clients, most of it's either via text or via Facebook Messenger. However, I do record a lot of videos. I send a lot of videos, I share a lot of videos, because I want people to understand from me exactly what I'm saying. And I want them to be able to look at me and make eye contact with me to understand my inflections and my nonverbals and everything. So communication is super important. Without good physical contact, to be able to shake hands, read the room, make eye contact, have that firm person-to-person conversation, you got to find ways around that. You can do things like use, Facebook. You can, live stream things. You can do things where you're interacting. You can do apps like StreamYard or Zoom where you can bring people together to have conversations. Think about all the tools you're using And are you optimizing them? Are there things you can do better? For example, knowing your audience, knowing what the best way for them to understand you is super important. And then how to capture that, right? A lot of times we do Zoom calls, which are very kind of boring and old, and people, just don't pay attention. They multitask. Sometimes doing things where you can have more interactivity is better, where you're able to actually have text things that pop up, where you're able to actually do things where you're having a conversation with the audience. You can do some of that in Zoom with the chat room, but it's not the best, right? There are other apps out there that do it better. And then communication with you and your team as much as possible. Again, you want to do something that's video, but if not video, audio, and then do things where you have a text follow-up, right? Text conversations, save those texts. Even though on Facebook Messenger, you can go back and look at old things, you can search your Facebook messengers now, it's still better to just kind of save key conversations, just screenshot it or cut and paste it into a text file or Word document. So communication is super important, right? So whether you're using things like Skype or Zoom, or you're using Facebook, whatever you're doing, make sure that you're always thinking about communication first. Number one, most important item. Number two is how you store things, how you access things. File accessibility. Pretty much all of us either use Dropbox or Google Drive to be able to store our documents. Some of us store documents, some documents in project management tools. I'll talk about those in a minute. But most of us want to be able to have a shareable environment where we can collaborate, we can work on things together. So there are a lot of collaboration tools out there. And again, some of them are project management tools like Trello or Monday or Asana I'll talk about in a minute, but mostly we're using Google Drive. Probably 90% of us use Google Drive for most of our sharing documents. It's a little challenging. Google Drive is not the most organized thing in the world. Sometimes it's hard to find things. Sometimes when you get people share everything under the sun with you, you have too many things to look at. So think about what you have in your Google Drive and keep it clean. Dedicate some time or have a virtual assistant go through and make sure that your Google Drive only has relevant stuff. Also, there's storage limits unless you want to start paying. So I think if you get to 100 gigs or something like that, you got to start paying. So delete old things. If you have old versions of old files you're never going to use ever again, have somebody clean those out. Keeping your Dropbox or your Google Drive clean, orderly, and easy to find stuff super important because we tend to lose things. And Google Drive is not, like I said, the best way to do that. So you should have someone in charge of this, right? You should have somebody on your team who's in charge of keeping things organized as far as your files, a file administrator or somebody who tags things and labels things so they're easy to find. One thing that drives me crazy is when somebody sends me something, I can't remember what it was named. So trying to find a naming convention where certain things you want to have accessed have like the date on it, on the name of the file, have the date, who's responsible for it, exactly what client it's for, what business process has to happen. Put those things in the name of the file. So it's just easier to find than just random file names that come up. And especially don't leave things file names where they're just random numbers. Make sure they have some sense of them. That's a tip I'll give you about file management, file accessibility. And then, I overshare. I don't have a lot of things that are private that I'm worried about people, getting the handles on. So I, tend to be pretty liberal with what I share, but you can put controls in place. Google Drive and Dropbox both have the ability to allow you to let people just view versus edit. And then, have administrative rights so they can't delete stuff. So there's ways to kind of, set yourself up so that you can't lose important stuff. This is especially important if you're working with somebody new, someone you haven't worked with before, someone you don't have a lot of experience with. Most of my virtual assistants of my team I've worked with forever, so I have a lot of trust with them. But sometimes with new clients, we are a little bit more careful of what we give access to, and that we encourage them to be careful they give access to us. We don't want to be in a situation where we accidentally delete something or they think we deleted something and have that be an issue. So this is one thing I'll mention real quick as I'm talking about flexibility is you can use tools like LastPass, 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 to be able to give people access to your sites without giving them the password and login information. So if you're worried about security of your stuff and you don't want someone to take it and run with it, you want to control what they can do and cut it off as soon as you want to, you may want to check out LastPass. That's number two, file accessibility, cloud storage, right? What's the best one for you? Number three is project management. And this is the most important. Communication is key. You got to have good communication for everything else. But be effective in optimizing your digital workspace, you got to use a project management tool every day. And you got to get your entire team used to using that same project management tool. And you got to get your clients and your customers that you're exchanging things with and interacting with on a regular basis to use pieces of that project management tool if they're going to be involved in influencing and growing and helping evolve your business. So I use Trello. I love Trello. I love the way it lays itself out, like post Post-it notes. It's easy to organize. It's easy to archive things, but then find them if you want to bring them back. You can have hundreds of Trello boards. There's a limit on the free version, but it's still, you can do quite a bit. Other people prefer Asana, and some people prefer Monday, and there are other ones out there like Slack and Basecamp, and there are 20, 30 different apps out there that are quarterly apps for project management. I'd say one of two things when you decide which one to use. If you're not using one already, find out what your VA is using and learn there, and let them be the expert. Let them teach you how to use it. So if you have a VA is well-versed in Monday, then use Monday. If you have a VA is well-versed in Trello, then use Trello, unless you have your own preference already. Same thing if you have a client you're taking on that really prefers one system. Maybe they're using Kajabi, or maybe they're using some other tool that's new and you haven't heard of to organize their stuff. You want to learn that stuff for them, or more importantly, delegate the learning to a VA. When I have a client come on with a new app that I don't know, I don't always go learn it myself. A lot of times I'll actually delegate the learning to a VA, then have the VA learn how to use that app and then kind of give me the high level, so that I don't have to spend all my time learning every app every client uses. So, but bottom line is, project management is all about getting organized, right? When I was at Wells Fargo, I was a project manager for a couple years, and I've always had that project management mentality of where you want to keep things organized. It goes back to your file accessibility, making sure you have good naming conventions, you keep things clean, you keep things organized. It goes back to communication, making sure everyone's on the same page all the time, doing a lot of things to update people and share information with people. Bottom line, though, is project management is the key to being really effective and having an optimized digital space. PM tools are what it's all about. And for me, again, I love Trello. There are a lot out there that you can check out. So basically, you find the one that fits best for you, for your team, for your clients, and you use that and use it daily. I check my Trello daily. I give feedback to my team daily. I have clients submit things daily. I do things that allow us to be on top of everything, to track everything, to assign owners, to assign due dates. Very, very tasky, very, very nerdy. This is an area, again, where if this is not your cup of tea, hire a virtual assistant to be your project management person. Have a VA that has a project management background that can be the organized one. This is super important for entrepreneurs that are people, that are idea people, that are out there talking and sharing, and they're creating content, they're creating videos, they have a YouTube channel, they're doing live streams, they're doing Facebook Live. If that's you and you're not good at organizing stuff, then have a VA manage the projects, manage the files, oversee the communication, and let you do what you do best. That's why I founded Sonic VA. And if you're curious about Sonic VA, you can go to sonicva.com, sonicva.com. I created the company to let you focus on what you do best, so we can do all the rest. We can do things like help you conduct analysis of your business. We can help you set up project management tools. We can help you do communication tools. We can help you set up things like Eventbrite and meetup groups. We can help you create graphics. We can even do videos. We can create YouTube-ready videos. And at Sonic VA, we do everything we do to increase the consistency that you have in what you do, to make sure that every day your business is doing something, even if you can't do it yourself every day, to make sure the message is clear, that every day something's going out from your business or about your business that develops clarity among your messages. And then most importantly, build certainty. You build a sense of certainty between your audience and you because you're delivering things consistency and it's clear in message and they're getting used to it and they want it and they start putting it into their routine to every day or every week or whenever you drop stuff to build that up. That builds that certainty that you're going to be around for the long term. And it definitely makes people up their interest in working with you. If you're consistent, if you're clear, and you have a sense of certainty, people will want to work with you. So that's what Sonic VA does. We help you build those three things. So that's how I approach optimizing my digital space, right? I have really good communication. I use communication tools. I have really good organization, good project management tools, and I have good things, a good plan for how we store and share information with our cloud-based storage. So that's what I have for you today, I guess. So hope it helped. Think about the tools you use, and more important, why you use the tool you'll use and what you're going to do with them and who you're going to bring into your business to help you optimize them. So thank you for your time. Now go out there and be awesome.